for episode 2 of Blue Screen of Death. I'm here with my professor, soon to be Dr. Parsons, also co-founder of the Holler. Bruce, how you doing? Glad you joined me today.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, we see each other quite a bit. You're a pretty busy man. You're a wanted man around Pikeville. But first and foremost, out of all the work that you put into the Holler and that I've helped you do, and Jacob's helped you do, we've not actually sat down and talked about all the technical details that everybody doesn't see.
We've not, no.
That makes the Holler actually flow.
Yeah, and we just did some updates over the last week as far as that flow goes too. Some database upgrades are going to happen tonight. I just got done scheduling that with some of the folks that help us on the back end of the site, and then I guess Thursday and Friday we upgraded servers. So our capacity is now about 10 times what it was a week ago.
I know that's actually from what you showed me last week, or later last week, from all the bandwidth and the CPU cores that we're actually using from what people that we have now. When that number starts to grow, I mean you may need more. You may need those lovely people at Rackspace too.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing about the cloud servers is it's scalable. So it's set up now that if we suddenly start to peak, the servers are going to readjust and build new as it goes. So we started out with 2 1 gig servers, and I thought, that'll be good. We got a 1 gig web server, a 1 gig database server. It'll be all we need. But it's been such a great reception for the site, and people who are already on there and engaging and talking and having the conversations are really into it. So their sort of individual user impressions are much bigger than what I estimated it would be in the beginning. So that's one of the reasons we did the scalable system, so that we could, we only have to pay for what we need to pay for when we need it. But I thought we would get through about 6 months before I had to do a server upgrade, and we got through about a month and a half, which is a good problem to have.
I mean, that's no problem at all. The biggest influx of your traffic is going to come. Gary and Amber's show kind of boosted it a little bit, and I have to do this, Gary. So, just so you know, my ratings are going to be way better than yours.
Well, Blue Screen of Death is actually the first original programming from the Holler to finish. I know the Here There Be Monsters guys are almost have their first episode done, and they're racing away. I've not shot my stuff yet, but so yours, congratulations, is the first original programming on the site.
Really?
It was a busy week last week at UPike. It was our 125th year celebration, and there were lots of things going on. So Jacob and those guys, the other guys who work here in IT on the show with him, they were a little busy last week.
I guess I cut him a break. I mean, you had him crawling under bleachers, wiring HDMI, SDI splitters.
We did, yeah.
He needs to clean these cables up. I can't even host a show. Okay, let's just talk more about if you had to estimate between now and the end of the year, what do you want your goals to be for your member base? Like, how big do you want the Holler to go? I know that you want it to go as big as it can be, but what do you think it'll end up by the end of the year?
I don't know. Over the last, starting with like a week and a half ago, we've started picking up between 75 and 100 people a week, which I think is pretty good. The ARI crew are about to amp that up quite a bit. So just based on that, we're gonna have a few thousand people at a minimum. But really, when I look at it, as far as I've done a lot of research and looking at the metrics and sort of how to hit a critical mass of users and all that sort of stuff. So what I'm really looking for in a perfect world is not necessarily a great number of users, but a high level of interaction with what users that we have. So there's this whole idea of critical mass that I've been looking into, and the idea being if you can hit a critical mass of users on the site, then it makes it much easier to move to a bigger section. So if we have 1,000 users, if only 100, 150 of those are really operating on a daily basis, then you got a little work to do. But if we can get 1,000 users and 500 are logging on weekly and having a conversation, then it becomes a really healthy community. And I'm more interested in the healthy community aspect of it and figuring out, my favorite thing about the Holler right now is I have no clue what it's going to look like a year from now. So I sort of planned out exactly what it would look like to this point, and then from here on, I'm sort of letting it run away from what my original ideas were and letting it become whatever the user base needs it to be. And so that's probably the most exciting point for me, is that I have no clue what it's going to look like a year from now. It really depends on how people log in and use it and what they sort of need or want.
Hey, we all love living on the edge. We all love living on the edge. Okay. So I was actually in the mall this weekend, and my fiance was picking up a new MacBook, which was actually turning to be about a 2-hour wait for something we could have done online. But she always knows, she's always right and I'm always wrong. Anyway, the lines were just wrapped through the mall, and I walk up to the sales guy, and I'm like, can I walk into the store? I'm like, do I have to be in line? He's like, no, that's only if you're buying a new iPhone. Mm-hmm. He was like, but it shouldn't be long. We were in there for a good 2 hours, man, waiting in line. But she went with the new Retina display, 13-inch MacBook Pro. She wanted to air it, but
nice.
I just wasn't letting that happen. But I know Friday, you're supposed to you should have your new iPhone 6. We'll probably do a review on that. But if you want to give us a brief rundown about, what do you expect from it, and just talk a little bit of iPhone for a minute. I know it kills you.
Well, I actually have I keep a couple of phones, and people always laugh at me, especially when I show up to class, and I can't stand to teach with things in my pockets, so I instantly show up and take my phone and my keys and all that sort of stuff out, and everybody always laughs. But I keep an Android phone at this point, and I keep an iPhone at this point, and part of that is my own sort of OCD, where I can't stand the thought that there's a platform or operating system out there that I don't know how to use. So I want to be in those situations where a family member calls and said, hey, I want my phone to do this. I'll know exactly what to tell them. But mostly it's just my own little obsession with technology. So I want one of each phone. But I'm an Android guy. Ever since March, you were with me actually when the switch occurred. I'm an Android guy now, but I am excited about the iPhone 6. So right now I have an iPhone 4S, and so it's in need of upgrade. I put iOS 8 beta on it, and it's a little slow. It chugs a little bit, but the OS is clean. It's nice. I like Apple products. I like the iPhone. The only thing that really bugs me about the iPhone is when they start acting like all the new features that are coming out, that they've invented those features, the wireless charging and the swipe to type and all that sort of stuff. If they just came out and said, hey, we've noticed that people have a need for these new features, and now you can have them on the iPhone, I would think that was great. But when they act like they invented it, when it's been out for 4 or 5 years on Android and other platforms.
About the first note.
Yeah. Don't act like that, And I looked at the watch. I've only looked at the watch a little bit, but I'm disappointed that, there's like a barrel or there's like a knob, and you have to interact with the knob in order to use it. That just seems counterproductive to me.
I don't know. I sent you a picture. I was in Best Buy, and they had the Moto 360 on display. And I walked up to this guy, and he was like, do you have any of those left? And he was like, no, we just got one in on the truck today, and we sold it within 30 minutes. And I said, when did you sell it? And he was like, about 10 minutes before you got here. And he was like, they don't know when they get them in. They'll get one in or two in at a time. And he was like, they probably won't get steady shipments until November or December.
Everybody wants the round watch.
No, it's
but it looks amazing. It looks amazing.
Actual, if you want to look on your MacBook, the one with the metal band is just freaking gorgeous. I mean, I do not want a Rolex anymore after seeing that.
But I like Android now, but I'm the kind, I want to customize my experience. I want it to do exactly what I want to do. But I do think for a lot of tech users, Apple is the way to go still. It's frustrating to me that I can't customize it exactly how I want, and I can't make the OS do all the things I want it to do. But for a general user, I could see how streamlined, if your phone works exactly like your iPad and you don't have to think about it. Like I get how people would be interested in it. Apple's done a really good job at developing the sort of culture of Apple.
Apple's culture, actually the problem with Apple's culture is it's only in America. They are nowhere else in the world. Like, they can't compete with Samsung. They can't compete with Motorola. They can't compete with LG. Samsung and LG, Sony, they just blow them out of the water. You can be in a domestic market in Korea and buy a Samsung Galaxy S5 or an LG G2, whatever, for $70. No contract. An iPhone actually retails in places like in Brazil, $1,200. In Africa, you have to spend at least $2,000 to get it. That's even in Korea, you're still paying upwards of $1,000.
That's absolutely crazy. Did you see that there was an iPhone 6 clone that came out last week that runs Android? Like, no. It looks, Unbox Therapy has it, and you can check that out. I like that YouTube channel. But he had one, and it looks exactly like an iPhone 6, but it's a Chinese phone, and it's a complete ripoff, but it runs Android KitKat.
I would still probably like it better. But, I mean, Apple did sell more than 10 million new iPhones in 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's as far as developing goes, too, I like developing for the iPhone more than developing for the Android. And part of that's just my laziness as a programmer. It's easier. You know, you're programming for iOS 8. You know the exact screen sizes of all the devices. You've got 4 sort of things to design for, and that's it. And the Android market is so fragmented. And I think that's another reason why they have trouble. You know, I have the Nexus 5, which is vanilla Android, just clean, pure, exactly how Google wanted it to be. The HTC stuff that they put on top of Android, I think, is really nice. And some of the Motorola stuff that they do is nice. But Samsung's TouchWiz is awful.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even stand to look at it. My wife has a Note 3, and she loves it, but I can't deal with it. It's too much stuff.
I told somebody today I love Samsung's phones. They're beautiful, but the OS is just...
Yeah. And I know some people will go to like an AT&T store or, you know, go to a cell phone store and they pick it up and they look at some of the Samsung phones, and that's how they judge Android, and they don't like it based on that. But if they looked at a Moto X or the HTC or something else, they might actually really enjoy it.
And the Apple just, they got the American consumer base. They're streamlined. It's easy to use. You can pick it up and use it right away. But other than consumer content, I mean...
Yeah. Well, and I do hate that most new apps, like the really nice apps, like the Paper 53 app for iOS and the iPad is doesn't have an Android equivalent. The newest apps almost always come out on iPhone first. Yeah, and I hate that. But
I have no idea what is going on. So
sounds like a horse is running by
upstairs, Jacob's mad. He's coming. So if you caught wind of China's version of eBay, Alibaba?
No.
You haven't heard about that?
No, I've not.
Oh, wow. They are the biggest. They're like the equivalent of Amazon and eBay combined. And they this weekend, they actually, I think they just went, I'm trying to figure out, they just went public, or they...
Yeah, makes IPO history at $92.70 per share.
Yeah.
Surpassing Amazon, eBay, and Facebook. That's CBS San Francisco.
I actually want to go. We need to start using Alibaba.
That's absolutely insane.
They've been around for a while. I mean, 1999. I'm not sure if I've heard of the name before. I think I have. I mean, obviously I've never used it, but
yeah, that's gonna be crazy. I mean, just looking at this article, he's the founder, the CEO, is quoted as saying, "We want to be bigger than Walmart."
Well. Good luck with that.
Yeah, way to start small as far as your aspirations.
I mean, $25 billion initial IPO.
Yeah.
So, next thing, and I'm glad we go through some of the headlines today, and there's always stuff to talk about because there's always something new. You can go out. I can go buy the Moto X2 Friday, and you can get your iPhone 6 Friday, but then next week, the next model will be out, and that's the great thing I love about technology. There's always something changing, always something going on. But technology is coming to Pikeville. Pikeville's going to be the mecca.
There's fiber that's supposed to be around the bend. I'm not sure exactly what the timeline is, but any improvement to the bandwidth and internet infrastructure is welcomed. If I ever get to the point where I have Google Fiber type speeds, I'm sure I'll figure out some reason why I need it faster. It's not quite. That's the thing about technology is you get used to a speed or something that makes your life easier, and then your brain just starts to factor it in as that's how everyday life should be.
That is how everyday life should be.
I mean, the perfect example is like, my wife and I are making budgets and trying to be budget conscious and put away money and all that good stuff. But any purchase that either I make or she makes that's based in technology that makes our Netflix addiction or our Amazon Prime addiction easier, we don't consider that to be, superfluous spending. That's like buying bread, milk, Netflix.
It is a need. It is a need.
Like I don't know what she would do if I just canceled our Amazon account and she couldn't stream and watch and all that sort of stuff.
What if Finn couldn't watch Cars?
Oh man,
that would be a bad day in a Parsons household.
Yeah, no. Every device in our house has Cars 1 and Cars 2. and it now has pretty much the entire Pixar collection, so that at any moment, whatever he demands, he can watch. And that's the other thing. He had to watch a commercial for the first time last week, and he got so mad. He was going, "Mom, I don't want to watch this." And she was like, "Finn, it'll be over in a second." And he just couldn't fathom that he had to sit and wait before he got to watch. His new favorite thing now is he wants to watch either monster trucks or bulldozers on YouTube. And you find a channel and then play it and then just let it go, and he'll just sit and watch.
To the next one, or is it auto play?
It's on the Xbox up on the thing, and then I guess because I like to watch unboxing of technology. Like we got some new studio stuff coming in on Wednesday. I tried to get online last night and watch some people unbox and open it, so I knew what we had in store. There weren't any, so we're going to make one. But I do that all the time. If I buy a computer or a phone or whatever, I get on there and watch the unboxing. Finn now likes to watch people unbox and play with toys. Mostly racetrack sets. He'll say, "Dad, I watch race cars," and that's what he wants to watch. He wants to watch people unbox it, put it together, and then play with it. And he just watches it like it's the most fascinating thing he's ever seen.
Oh, wow. I mean, Finn is going to come on my show. It'll be a interesting segment. But since unboxing, we're actually going to do our first unboxing show whenever the live stream switcher gets here.
Yeah. New Studio Surface just came. They came out. They announced it at NAB last spring, but they moved into a new 30,000 square foot facility in Brooklyn, and they're actually on one of the floors of their facility. They're putting it together themselves, so it's entirely manufactured and made in Brooklyn, which is pretty cool.
Good old America, hand built. Yeah. I mean, you pay the hefty price for it, but if you're getting the actual hand built, you know the quality is going to be good, and if you have any problems at all, their technical support will be able to take care of it. Period, because they put it together. And
we're big fans of live stream here at the Holler. All of our gear for live production and what we're shooting on right now is all live stream based. And anytime I have a question, they're great. We're going to start using our live stream switcher for Twitch streams, which it's not made for, but it works. And so I've been sending them all kinds of tech support messages saying, "Hey, how does this work? How can I make that work?" And I think they're actually going to start looking at building some of that functionality into the switcher.
So is Brad going to be the first one on the Twitch stream?
I don't know. He did. I don't know, Brad. I don't know if we're filtered enough for Brad to be the first one on the.
We'll have to have a .onion.
Yeah, it was. Let's see what for the first gaming podcast, which will come out later this week. He plays some Minecraft, and so we talked about the show beforehand. And I said, just work on building something. We'll check in every once in a while. And the show quickly became about Brad playing Minecraft. And I don't want to give it away, but he didn't build anything. He built 0 things. Actually, he blew stuff up with TNT, so he built negative things. And then last week we started a Brad Plays DayZ. So I think there's going to be a little mini series from those guys. That's Brad Plays or Jacob Plays, and so he hopped on that, which is a survival zombie game. It's incredibly infuriating. You run around for 45 minutes before you even see another player, and then suddenly you get shot. But yeah, he attacked a zombie with a glow stick, and he carried around a can of beans for 20 minutes.
Wow.
Exciting video.
That's actually going to be a good show. I look forward to watching. We'll move on. We actually do have a topic to the show today. It's not just hanging out.
Yeah.
Not bashing on Jacob or talking about Brad and his new Cats Play Video Game short. I don't know if I was supposed to. Sorry, this was supposed to be a secret.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to sing the jingle, but if he was here, I'd make him do it.
Oh,
But apparently, it's going to be everywhere. So
everybody will
you
know.
Will all
It'll be
see it.
More popular than the keyboard cat folks. All right, there's a guy I really want to talk about, and you actually turned me on to him. I had no idea who Tesla was other than movies and Edison, just very little. But actually, Tesla he's the man.
Yeah.
He's the reason we have what we have today. He invented modern technology.
Yeah.
Stuff that we'll get into detail on, but things that we're just starting to use now or learn how to use. He was trying to do that in 1899, 1900.
The thing I always loved about Tesla is he was the true idea guy. He would just sit around with a notebook and come up with things. You have your great inventors and entrepreneurs and all that sort of stuff, like your Steve Jobs. But Steve Jobs wasn't necessarily inventing new things. He just knew how to market them and he knew how to make the device itself better. He was a lot, in my opinion, and this might, I don't know if everyone would agree with my sort of feelings on it, but I think Thomas Edison and Steve Jobs are very much alike. Edison didn't come up with the light bulb, but it existed. He could make it better, and he could make it marketable, and he could make it cheap enough to sell, in some sort of bulk fashion. And so, while Edison was a great American inventor, I think there's hands down no contest Tesla any day.
Edison was not a great American inventor. He was actually a bad man.
He did some questionable things.
Poor Tesla. All he knew how to do was do great things. Edison just knew how to market.
Yeah.
So Edison and Marconi and Westinghouse, they broke Tesla.
Yeah.
They burned him dry.
Yeah. It's one of those, and this unfortunately happens a lot in history, especially with technology and things. It's what's best does not always win out. It's whoever has the most power and investment and all that sort of stuff. Just like for years, FM existed. FM radio was far superior to AM radio, but the powers that be at NBC, and David Sarnoff had invested all of that money in AM radio, they weren't going to let it take over. They didn't want to lose on their investment. So it was after the Second World War that we finally made FM the standard.
Yeah, and Edison knew that his current was inferior. It was no contest. But that's why he did what he did. But it worked out.
The worst Edison story to me is when he electrocuted the elephant.
Oh God, yeah, I understand.
Topsy, I think.
Topsy.
Yeah, there's a book out about it. I've not been able to bring myself to read it because it's such a sad story. But
you're such an animal lover. We love elephants. We do. And it's kind of, most of our great inventors, most of them really aren't known. They really aren't. All the most of them that are known, they just build ideas upon other people, and that's how, that's how even modern things go, like Twitter, Facebook. Everything was built upon something else. But the biggest thing and most people don't know about is Tesla's idea of portables was you're not really portable until you don't have to plug into a wall. Mm. And I'll agree with that. I still have to plug my MacBook in to charge it. You have to plug your cell phone in to charge it. You still have to plug cars in to charge them if you own one of those.
One of the Tesla cars?
One of the Tesla. Hey, actually, the Tesla actually is putting out an update where they will update software over the air now. Through AT&T.
See, I'm wondering now if just because they've taken Tesla on as their sort of mascot and name of their company for the electric car, Musk just opened up their patents for everyone to see for their first models. I wonder if they just feel the need to channel that original Tesla sort of thing. But he's incredible. If you look back at Tesla. Right now, it's easy for us to say what would make a cell phone better, but I can't fathom sitting there inventing the cell phone in, the early 1900s. That's absolutely insane. He just had completely original ideas, and then not only had the ideas, but figured out ways that he could make them.
And I know you're trying to be informative and logical, but if I'm doing a software update in my car and I'm out in the desert. And it shuts down on that. Tesla will no longer be a company. I mean, it's just. But Tesla actually inspired. He did a lot of inspiration, not just in the technology side. There was a band in the '80s. I'm trying to remember, and they actually named the album after him. It was actually Tesla. Come on, I'm just getting away the game. What was the game? I think it was the name of the album. I'm sorry, it's my blank. What is it? Help me, Google. Help me, Brian Dunn. Brian Dunn, go ahead and take a shot of your camera. Where are you at? Wait, yeah, I see you. Actually, I don't see you, but I know you're doing it. You've probably had that camera shot up 4 different times. Brian Dunn's actually sitting in front of the live stream, making this show possible so me and Bruce can gripe and entertain.
Yeah, I've got that feature turned on Google, so when you said "Okay, Google," it took control of the search on my screen and started searching for things.
Sorry, I just hijacked you. Yeah.
I am bothered that when I Google Tesla, the first 2 things that come up are the Model X and the Model S car, not Nichola Tesla. He should not be the third thing that pops up.
Well, that's why we were trying to enlighten everybody. This is an enlightenment segment. I cannot find the album name. But actually, Nikola Tesla, actually, he was in a comic book. He was one of the. See, I just can't remember nothing today. But we can actually talk about something I do know about, which I know everything. Guys, don't just trust me. So a lot of people think Tesla was just crazy, and well, Tesla wasn't crazy. He knew what he wanted. That's a nice way of putting it. Actually, he wanted to build a death ray. He wanted to build a death ray, and actually, before we talk about the bad stuff Tesla did, which isn't much.
Well, I mean, let's put it in context. We're talking death ray. It's during the same time that the two world wars are happening. It's within that time frame, and Marconi was doing the same thing. So for whatever reason, in that time frame, the death ray was like something that people, at least military complexes, were trying to figure out. So I don't know who Tesla was trying to build his for, probably just for Tesla, but Marconi was trying to build one for the Italians, which is absolutely insane. But, so he wasn't the only one.
Well, Marconi probably stole that patent when Tesla was at Westinghouse, working for $2.30 some odd cents per kilowatt of electricity sold. But
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page here, and here's all his alternating current stuff, which is obviously the big thing. But, here's an X-ray of a hand that he took.
He was one of the first ones to play around with that.
1898, Tesla demonstrated a radio-controlled boat.
He actually was successful, and it was in Colorado, and he actually broadcasted power out wirelessly. Of course, it was only over 100 feet, but he actually lit up street lamps.
Still, it's 2014, and in March I was excited because I could put my phone on a little pad next to my bed, and I didn't have to physically plug a cable in and it charged. Like that in 2014 impressed me.
I mean, because Tesla knew, like you said, 1899, the electricity's in the air. And, we actually do use it through RF waves and a few different things, but Tesla was if he was like Edison, if he was in Edison's position and had his brain and then had his marketing, we could have had all this before World War II. You never know, honestly.
Well, I think most people, when you say Tesla, what they might think about is the Tesla coil in science class when you put your hand on the thing and your hair stands up and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, like the picture, that's behind you. I mean, absolutely insane. That says Colorado Springs, generating millions of volts and producing 7-meter, 23-foot long arcs of electricity.
Yeah, that's where he actually lit up some streets in Colorado Springs.
That's so crazy.
But this year, it's supposed to be due in December, but he might have got pushed back. A lot of people don't like this guy. I personally like this guy, but you might like him after he does this movie. Glenn Beck's actually putting out 2 movies. First one is obviously about Tesla. Before we get into details about that, he actually went and bought one of Orson Welles' old cameras, and he's actually going to shoot a movie with that camera. So it's like from the 60s, I think. I'm not sure.
Nice.
I don't know what movie he actually used it on. But Glenn Beck says he's tired of politics and Hollywood and all the fame and glory being given to the bad man Thomas Edison. That's the best quote I've heard all day.
All right. I mean, everyone thinks of Thomas Edison as the father of the motion picture, and I fully understand why they do that. But to me, thanks to my friend Robert Salyer, I know that the father of the motion picture was Edward Muybridge. Like, that dude was crazy, but the stuff that he did was awesome. Stuff that he did was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty much the headline of this, not the headline, the basic plot of this movie is he's going to be revealing the darkness behind the debatable inventor of the light bulb, and then it says, presumably GE will not be sponsored.
I imagine not, no.
But
And it's always funny in when I start talking, because, in my history of electronic communication class, which you took last year, I talk about all these guys, and I talk about Muybridge and Tesla, and, I have a Muybridge poster in my office that's sort of framed on the wall of the first photos of the horse. And when students come by and they're like, oh, you actually really like this stuff? I'm like, yeah. I absolutely really like. This is what I talk about for fun, is Edward Muybridge and Nikola Tesla.
I mean, you did put 300 some odd schematics glued to the wall here.
I am ashamed, though, that there are. I know that there's an Edison. The Edison light bulb is in there, but I don't know.
The Tesla light bulb?
I don't know if Tesla's in there. I grabbed some of the Tesla stuff. I know Muybridge is in there, but I don't know if Tesla's in there. I'm actually kind of sad about that now.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I let you come on the show, and
I know, right? I'm talking all this Tesla smack, and I didn't represent him on the wall anywhere.
I can't believe I forgot to do this. I have to unveil the glasses.
The glasses.
They actually really help
There you
a
go.
lot. Yeah,
There you go.
see? Yeah, I feel like Clark Kent today.
Looks good.
Yeah.
I like the blue trim.
Thank you. Thank you. Lens crafters. Don't go there. It'll cost you too much money. But, you know, before we close out, we'll just go over Tesla's top 5 biggest things. And I'll go through. My number one's going to be is wireless energy transfer. And, you know, this was 120 years ago. And actually, a technical term for you nerds out there, not that any nerds watch this show. Not at all. I have a Minecraft shirt on. Anyway, he called it electrodynamic induction. He dreamed that such technology would allow us one day to shoot power over long distances in the atmosphere, supplying distant destinations with energy needed to live comfortably. Dude, that's what we need. We can actually go live on the moon. We'll be the first people to get on the moon because nobody really has ever been there, but that's what we need to inhabit. You see me and you and Brad on the moon. But that's what cell phone companies, bigger companies like Intel and Sony, that's the biggest thing right now, is applying that non-radiative energy to be able to charge cell phones or any kind of battery without the power cables. And that's kind of, that's really where we're at right now. That's where we're at right now. I know there's actually, if you're Android, if you've been using Android phones, which you should have, you actually will be the first one to actually probably get to experience this. Number 2, X-rays. Like we just talked about the picture of the hand. Mm-hmm. This was the late 1800s as well. Tesla's also not credited with this, but I think it was about 8 to 10 years prior before the guy. It was some German dude. I can't remember his name. Tesla actually did it 8 years earlier. It's almost a decade earlier. The death ray, the biggest one. Everybody probably knows about that one. It was just a particle beam weapon, and honestly, if it's not a death ray, it's actually a peace ray. It was just capable of generating an intense beam of energy. I don't know much about that. I just know if we had that, the world would not have any problems.
If they would have called it something other than a death ray.
The peace ray?
Peace ray, yeah, something like that. That's a marketing issue. Edison would have handled that.
And then the boat. The boat was also in the 1800s. Like everything was in the 1800s. Where are we at now? It's 2014. I mean, come on. And I think, number 5, definitely gonna go. He did an earthquake machine. He actually did an earthquake machine.
Like he would make an earthquake.
Yeah, he built a small like oscillating device. And let me see if I can put more details. And the device weighed just a few pounds, but Tesla was able to tune the timing of the oscillator at such a frequency that each little vibration added just a little more energy to the wave of the flex in the building. Given enough little pushes, even the largest structure could be shaken apart.
So see, this is a good ending for the Tesla conversation, because this is why Edison had such an easy time pushing him out.
Yeah, let's this quote. Realizing the potential terror such a device could create, Tesla said he took a hammer to the oscillator to disable it, instructing his employees to claim ignorance to the cause of the tremors if asked.
So I can see why he was able to, be pushed aside as crazy, but, I stick by the fact that he was very legit. Just absolutely amazing inventor. The fact that he wasn't improving on other people's things, he wasn't reworking old patents, he was just coming up with new ideas.
He was just
just coming up
with time, man.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if we had this, and then he would figure out a way to make it work?
He's laughing at us right now. That was 100 years ago. But anything else you want to add about Tesla? I mean, other until you get his picture on the wall.
I mean, not that I can think of. He's one of those things that those historical figures I always want to dig into and learn more. I have a long list of those folks that I don't ever really get around to it. But, I've read Edison's The Wizard of Menlo Park, and it's pretty interesting. It's very pro-Edison, but it's pretty interesting. And I know there's a couple biographies out there about Tesla that are supposed to be really good. I just haven't one of these days I'm going to get around to having time to read those.
Yeah, well, reading is pull. We won't get into that. But it's been a good episode. I really wanted to bring you on because you and I both love Tesla, but just really wanted people to understand that most of the things that we have now is because of Tesla, and it really just dates back, 100 years. We need to step our game up, bring the fiber to Pikeville. That's what we need.
Yes, that would be a great start.
All right. Next Friday, like I said, we got a busy week this week. The live stream unboxing, the iPhone 6. May have the Moto X2, so we may end up having a showdown.
Yeah.
Android, iPhone showdown.
Some benchmarks. See how it goes.
I'll
throw the Nexus in there just as a...
Might as well.
Yeah.
The Nexus.
Throw the HTC in there just to see.
All right, throwing the HTC in there. It's been a great phone. I just dropped it too much.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, but it's been a good segment. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
You all will be able to listen to the audio version of this on SoundCloud and the Holler, and also if you want to watch the video segment, it'll also be posted as well. Just be checking back up for posts this weekend, and see you later.